beautiful day for a neighbor. Won't you be mine? Could you be mine? It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood. A neighborly day for this beauty. Could you be mine? Won't you be mine? I have always wanted to have a neighbor just like you. I've always wanted to live in a neighborhood with you. So let's make the most of this beautiful day. Since we're together, we might as well say, would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? Won't you be? Won't you please? Please would you be my subscriber?
That's the sound of the weekend, and that is the sound. That's a sound of very sneaky.
That's the sound of greed.
That's the sound of greed. That's the sound of two hands shuffling. It is the sound of the weekend. Really, it is, because it's a Thursday live stream. Producing with me in video studio, as always, is Jared, who is not gay. Follow him on Twitter at NotGayJared. Me at S. Crowder. I fulfill my legal obligations. Draw your own conclusions. Big show tonight. We have Clint Howard coming on.
Clint Howard.
Of noted fame, Ron Howard's brother.
Yep.
Also other things.
Everything. Everything.
The guy has like 200 something IMDb credits. It really is absurd. And he's a very, very nice guy. Made some time to come on the show. Courtney Kirchhoff later on, of course, as this live stream continues. And a lot of news of the day. There's not a lot of news of the day. There's very little because everyone's gearing up for the election.
Yep. Election. Inauguration.
The inauguration.
Yeah.
It's the result of the election.
Results.
You don't need to fact check me this early on in the program. So, because the inauguration is taking place tomorrow, everyone's waiting. They're resting up so they can professionally protest. And we'll give you the protesting's greatest hits. Did you guys see this last night? The LGBTQ community decided to put on display their pride, their dance moves, and that usually means their penises, as you can see right here outside of Mike Pence's house.
Classy.
Mike Pence's house. They just decided to sit out there and dance and twerk. And you know what? Really got their message across. If the United States was not hearing you before, LGBTQAI community, I think we feel you now.
We do.
I think you were just misunderstood.
I wasn't on board before, but
when I see a man dancing in a thong with fake rubber tits, I have empathy.
You understand the plight.
You understand your demographic.
Man.
Particularly when dancing at Mike Pence's house. This is how real change comes about. Rosa Parks, sat on a bus. Harriet Tubman, Underground Railway. You show your dick. So, this... Oh, do we have that? We have that clip. Let's run this clip. This happened. This is how passionate they were about dancing semi-nude at Mike Pence's house.
Mike Pence is going to take the second highest office in our country, and he has passed quite horrific anti-LGBT laws. He has also taken staunch stances against the LGBT community, and we are not okay with that.
Is that so feroz? Horrific anti-LGBTQ laws. I know a feroz. Take a guess the origin of that name. It's the origin of places where they throw you off rooftops. You can dance to your little heart's content. Well, that's to hide. They hide the bodies down elevator shafts. There's a difference. When I say throw off rooftops, that means the the terrorists.
Oh, okay.
So horrific laws. Really, can anyone name them? Is it the fact that Governor Mike Pence disagrees with you? It's just they just throw out the term horrific.
They could have been denied.
Yeah, well, he has an R next to his name.
In fairness, they could have been denied pizza at some point.
They could have been denied pizza at some point. Maybe he asked them to get off his lawn. I don't even think they were escorted. Mike Pence didn't do it. He didn't even lift the shade.
No.
All right, let's roll clip 2.
Dance has historically been a really powerful symbol for the LGBT community.
So is AIDS. Some would say more powerful than dance. Some would say that AIDS could almost bring a dancer to his knees Because it's AIDS. Now, hold on, I know what you're thinking. Hey, you're not allowed to say that AIDS is a gay person's disease. Yes, I am. Because it is. Do you know statistical likelihood of getting AIDS in the United States if you are a straight, relatively monogamous male? 0%. I know you're wondering. The statistical chance is 0%.
What if
Someone called out.
Now, the
drug
chances go up about 400% if you're at a dance party in Mike Pence's backyard. These are statistics
That
that
seems
one
fitting.
should know. The more you arm yourself with information. I think we have one more.
Yep.
Do we have one more clip to watch?
It
Okay.
allows us to tap into our bodies and use our bodies, use movement to promote a movement. We are here and we will dance.
Gosh. What a
Someone
fame
argued that you're
whore.
tapping into one another's bodies too much, sir.
Yes.
That doesn't seem to be your problem, is a lack of tapping into one's body. But I think I saw something there. Can we replay that clip? Did you
clip?
see that?
Yeah.
That one?
To
Let's
our
play it.
bodies and use our bodies, use movement to promote a
there it
movement.
is.
We are here and we will dance.
You had a pretty busy weekend. Or
I
week.
see
You
it.
took
I
it
didn't
as a
see it.
sick day.
What happened? I missed it.
We're gonna have to talk after the show. Remember that? Remember the pension we were talking about?
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Oh.
So as other protests continue, this is where the left is. Their protest, right? They were safe spaces, and it seems like, well, where are we going to go from safe spaces? They no longer want to be offended. They're protesting, demanding safe spaces. They were demanding racially segregated spaces on college campus. Like, I guess this is around the bend. They're beyond parody. How much worse can they get? Well, they can twerk in Miley Cyrus costumes with rubber boobs at Mike Pence's house on the lawn.
Yeah,
That's one.
that's Wednesdays.
And then there's another one that happened this week. In case, not to be outdone as far as immaturity, mind you, at Trump Tower, these people hosted, you're going to hear this, a cough in. Now, I know what you're thinking, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Okay, that's enough of that.
That's pretty gross.
that was
They just have to-
real
this
life.
is the
It was
perfect
real life.
example with leftists. They just have to ruin everything for everyone in the vicinity. But I bet you at Trump Tower, I think was that in New York? I would assume it's New York.
I think that. Well, yeah. I think so. There's the restaurant. or
So
something,
most of them would
hotel.
probably agree with these coffer inners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you've just turned them off, and this is why Donald Trump has won. The left, you have lost people who should be a gimme because you cough in their oysters. People don't like that. This is why people don't respect you.
And you know, in that crowd, there were some diseases being spread around in that coffin.
Are we talking about the gay dance party, or are we talking about the coughing?
Talking
about
about the coffin.
One could argue that there's some cross-pollination between the two groups. All right, we've received a lot of emails, a lot of comments, people who were mad. We targeted Planned Parenthood this week quite a bit. And on YouTube, a lot of the comments were saying, you know what, they do a lot of good. You're ignoring a lot of facts that are important. Planned Parenthood, actually, abortion is really only a small amount of the services provided at Planned Parenthood. Is that true? Does Planned Parenthood have an abortion agenda, or do they actually help women? I think we wanted to follow up here and educate you. Take a guess. I'm going to give you time's up. It's all about abortions. I know. Did I hold you in suspense?
You did. You did. I was gonna not guess probably that.
Always keeping you guys guessing. That's why you tune in every night. According to their own numbers, 2015, 334,000 pregnancy resolution service cases at Planned Parenthood. Abortions made up 323,000 of those. It's not even close. And here's something we had Abby Johnson on. She's the former Planned Parenthood worker who came on the program. And she talked a lot about working at Planned Parenthood, how they sort of funge these numbers. So it's important for you to know. I know this may get a little bit nerdy, may get a little bit statistical here, but let me hit you with this. Let me give you an analogy. If they say, a small percentage of our services are abortions, if you go in, for example, let's say a woman goes in, by the way, 94% of people, women who walk in and out of Planned Parenthood end up having an abortion. Out of 10, 9.4 women. The 0.4 is a midget. Walk out. I don't even know how you perform an abortion on a midget. Seems like there'd be complications that would be. It would make it harder.
It would.
I don't know.
And you could confuse the two.
Can midgets have babies?
You could confuse the fetus and the midget.
Can midgets have babies? This is a legitimate question I want to know. I know they can't swim.
They'll just Bob.
That could be factually
How do you
inaccurate.
know that?
I saw it on Lifetime. There was a reality show. It was the highlight of my life. There was a midget who shoved another midget in the ocean. I had that on a loop for about an hour straight. If it were a VHS tape, that part would have been very worn, noticeably. So 9.4 women who come out of Planned Parenthood have an abortion. That's important to note. This is how they'll calculate it. Let's say a woman goes in for an abortion, okay? She goes in for an abortion. Every little thing they do is considered a service. So she goes in for an abortion. They have an examination from a doctor. That's a service. If there's a pap smear, that's a service. If there's an ultrasound, they wouldn't want to do that. That's a service. If they have an abortion, that's a service. If they're given birth control, that's a service. To the point where every single abortion performed at Planned Parenthood will include maybe 5, 6, 7 services, only one of them being an abortion. Even though all of these other services are there simply to support the abortion. So that's important to know. So this number a lot of people throw out, and we saw it on YouTube, 3% of Planned Parenthood services are abortions. It's just an example. If you say a lie enough, if you say it enough, people believe it. You repeat a lie enough, it's not even close. 86%, they even published this in the Washington Post, of non-governmental procedures at Planned Parenthood are abortions. So what they are trying to say is federal taxpayer dollars. Federal taxpayer dollars are not funding abortions at Planned Parenthood, but they are funding Planned Parenthood, who by and large perform abortions. That is their specialty. Let me give you something else that's actually really disconcerting, and this is something a lot of people don't think about. All those other services I'm talking about, a doctor's examination, maybe getting some birth control, they maybe cost a few bucks, maybe a few $100. Mm-hmm. The abortion, you know how much that costs? Well, it's on a sliding scale, right? Depending on how much you make, because Margaret Sanger hated the African Americans, back then Negroes, as she commonly referred to them. The average price of an abortion.
I'm gonna guess it's the big sale.
It's a big sale. It's $1,500.
Yeah.
So anyone else who's ever worked in retail, and that's what these people are doing, they're merchants of death,
It's a cheap
understands that they are trying to upsell. So they can send you out with some birth control. They can have you with an examination, a doctor's examination, say, you know what, keep the baby. But they have an incentive to sell the abortion because that's their big ticket item. And that's what Abby Johnson, who worked at Planned Parenthood, said she was coached on doing. Many former employees of Planned Parenthood, some current employees have specified this. They are encouraged to sell their money-making product. They don't do mammograms. They can't even do them, despite what I think Elizabeth Warren said. I don't know if it was Elizabeth Warren or what's her name? Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Yeah.
Oh, it's too blonde. Just two blonde.
I hate them
cookers.
both, and I get them confused.
I get them
because
confused.
my hate is equal.
One has a D perm, a blonde D perm, and one faked being Native American. That's how you remember it.
That's how you know.
Kind of like Every Good Boy Deserves Fudge. That's how you remember the musical notes.
Yeah.
One of them claimed she was Pocahontas. The other's just bad in general.
Just a
So
horrible wench.
what's the acronym you're thinking of then?
Well, I don't know it off. It's a very long acronym. We need to shorten it. I'm not saying that it's a perfect memory hook. So $1,500 for an abortion. They are incentivized to upsell. If you're in there and you don't want to have an abortion, they have an incentive to push you in that direction. And they do that. Planned Parenthood is effectively they've always been, they're salesmen. They're nothing more than awful, terrible used car salesmen.
That's about as good looking a cervix as I've ever seen. It'd be a shame to ruin a hoo-ha setup like that with a baby. I know you only came in for a checkup now, but have you ever considered an abortion?
But I wanted to keep my baby, though.
Keep my baby, sanctity of life, nothing. What you need right there is an abortion. And Crazy Pete has got some good news for you. Here at Crazy Pete's Planned Parenthood, I'm offering abortions at prices so low, people think I'm crazy. That's right. Here at Planned Parenthood, we're offering abortions on a sliding scale based on income. That means the less you make, the less you pay. Here at Planned Parenthood, we have a history of which we are tremendously proud. One where Margaret Sanger wanted to ensure quality. Abortions at affordable prices set up across the lowest income earners in urban centers of America. I'm so crazy about affordable abortions that I'm practically giving them away. Hell, I might as well be throwing my profits in the trash. That's how much I care about you. Even better, if you have some ethnicity in you, we'll slash your prices in half. I'm talking to you, people of color. That's right. It's called the Margaret Sanger Special. Every Negro must go. Thanks to federal funded and our sliding scale payment system, colored folk practically pay nothing at all. Even better, if you come on down to Crazy Pete's Planned Parenthood in the next fiscal quarter, with every abortion I'm throwing in a free mammogram.
but only a referral. So what are you waiting for? Lose that baby weight and let Crazy Pete and Planned Parenthood do all the heavy lifting. Come on in for a limited time only and we'll throw in a free baby coffin. Just come on down to Crazy Pete's Planned Parenthood Abortion Barn or call 555-5455. Safe, legal, and rare. How about fun, fast, and free? Call 555-5455 and Crazy Pete will turn that catchphrase into your reality. That's 555-5455 for the sliding scale Negro discount, free mammogram referral, and baby coffin at a price so low, you'll think I'm crazy! Crazy Pete's Planned Parenthood Abortion Barn, killing babies and slashing prices!
Dormio.
Dad, what are you doing here? I want to go to bed.
Don't bother me. I'm sleeping.
Come on, Mom's looking for you. Time to go home. Go.
You think you could get me one of these Dormio mattresses?
I'll see what I can do. Okay, I'm tired.
I'm just saying they're a sponsor.
I know. Just go. I'm tired. That's not how this works. Go. I'll see what I can do.
Hello, mattress, my old friend. I've come to lay with you again. Because a vision I was dreaming of you and I together sleeping. And the comfort
Dormio mattresses.
Sleepwithcrowder.com for specials and free shipping.
And a pillow.
within the sound of silence.
Wake up, explore.
Reach the wizard.
Explore. Wake up,
Reach the wizard.
explore.
This whole show is fly. Have Clint Howard coming up after the break. Hey, here's something that caught my eye today. A lot of things catch my eye. What, are you just bringing that back in because
I
I'm
just
want to
dance.
I
I
want
just
to have some
gotta
more.
There's a
be
time
dancing.
for dancing, and there's a time for mocking Muslims.
Is that which one's this?
Take it. It's the second one.
Oh, okay.
It's the second one.
Second one. It's always
I know.
B.
It's always B on this program. So, this is a statistic that I found surprising, but then when I thought about it, it wasn't. And when I thought about what we've written on the website at loudwithcrowder.com, I realized this actually is right in line with what I've been reading, what we've been writing about. Contrasting with the United States, in Germany and in the UK, a majority of people want the full body burqa, the full ninja. They want it banned. Contrasted with only 25% of Americans. 69% in Germany favor the full burqa ban. 50% in Britain. Oh, sorry, only 29% in the US. Maybe they know something we don't know. Think about that for a second. For example, they don't have the over-the-border crisis that we have here, the illegal immigration crisis, right? That was a big issue on which people were voting with Donald Trump. The wall resonated with people.
Yeah.
People are tired of immigrants who don't want to assimilate, who come here breaking the law. We want people to sign the guest book on the way in. When it comes to Europe, they've dealt with the rapey migrant crisis that we haven't yet. And I think we have some footage here from Germany and these countries. Look at the shifting demographics, and it's in a way that obviously these people in Europe are getting a little bit tired of, because even Angela Merkel has basically declared that multiculturalism hasn't worked. They're as progressive as you could possibly imagine, right? When you think of Europe, you usually think of them as further along the trail to the left than the United States. But then you get to a certain point where reality sets in, and there in Europe and there in Germany, it's no longer a politicized issue. It's an issue of statistics. It's an issue of crime. It's an issue of how people live their lives. It's no longer here. The Democrat Party kind of they have a corner on appearing tolerant, on hashtag not all Muslims, on hashtag tolerance, right? So let's bring in as many migrants here, or Justin Trudeau there, the Canadian Prime Minister, who said, if you kill your enemies, they win.
When? So we just put them in our cabinet instead.
I think he's a fundamental misunderstanding of how war works.
That guy's a jackass.
Mr. Trudeau. If you kill your enemies, they win. Okay. What happens if they rape your women and hear the lamentation of your villagers?
Sounds like they win.
That's one for you, sound logicist. I don't know if that's a word, logicist.
That's not a word.
It's definitely not a word.
Not a word. I'll have to retract that
Logician?
later.
There needs to be a noun for someone who uses logic. Well, think about this. You're in the UK right now, right? It's England. You've been tolerant and you've been open-armed and all that gay stuff. And all of a sudden, you have neighborhoods, no-go zones, which the media claimed didn't exist. There are over 900, by the way, no-go zones where cops don't even show up. People are beating the hell out of their women. Women who go in these no-go zones are at risk. We had Lauren Southern on. We've had Tony Bugle on. People who've talked about Western women, Western European women who go into these no-go zones are threatened. You don't even have to be an Islamic woman anymore. People don't feel safe in their own neighborhoods. These are people who don't want to become a part of the British way of life. They don't want to become a part of the German way of life. And these people they love their socialized health care. They love all the free stuff. They're where Bernie Sanders wants us to be. But for some reason on this issue, they are so much further to the right than Americans that we can't even find them on a map.
No. It just baffles people. I watch it on Twitter and stuff. It just people just can't even. They're so confused.
Well, police are on record saying that there was a connection.
Yeah.
Sweden, now the rape capital of the West.
Yep.
Sweden. When you think Sweden, you used to think bikini team. Now you think violent rape.
Lots of rape.
Lots of rape. You think your bed folds into a bookcase and being raped. That's what Sweden is known for. Some hockey players, some cheap furniture that lasts you about a year.
Yeah. It's 8 months. 8 months.
And harm to orify.
Yeah. It's just a bloodbath.
That is the proper plural of orifice.
Oh, is it?
It's a different term for rape. I felt like we said raped too much.
Rape?
You do say rape a lot on this show.
Well, you have to when you're discussing Islam. It's a part of their culture. We're honoring it. So we even talked about this. Remember in Cologne, Germany, there were a bunch of attacks. And I think this is a big reason the Americans aren't quite up to speed because the media deliberately, and this is an active media malpractice. It's kind of annoying when they do it with Donald Trump and say, hey, Donald Trump said something on Twitter that he didn't say. It's mildly annoying. When it comes to actual rape statistics, when it comes to actual victims of sexual assault, it's media malpractice. And they've done this many times. They've claimed there was sexual assault when there was no proof. People like Lena Dunham, people like Amy Schumer. You look at the Mattress Girl, Columbia University, Rolling Stone, UVA, right? They falsely claimed that, and then they falsely cover up when actual incidents of rape occur. Cologne, Germany. This is where there were countless sexual assaults at a New Year's Eve fest. This was in 2015, going on 2016. This was not the one where Don Lemon was drunk. This is the one before that.
Oh, the other one.
Yeah, it was the other one. Well, to be fair, Don Lemon's always drunk on New
He
Year's
is
Eve.
always drunk on New Year's Eve.
He just isn't always put on a network. Though I hope he's put on every single network, especially here forward. I'm gonna listen.
I would actually tune in.
CNN.
Yeah.
Even if Mariah Carey's there.
Going to have a relationship. I'm gonna have a relationship. I'm looking at you, Anderson. I couldn't believe that they allowed Don Lemon on the air. So we wrote about this at Louder with Crowder, the Cologne attacks in Germany, and the police have since gone on record saying there was a direct correlation. Police were then handing out pamphlets to try and solve this issue. Please don't rape. They were handing out anti-rape pamphlets to Muslim refugees. So we wrote about it. Snopes. Snopes, by the way, one of the sites that Facebook will use as the backbone in determining fake news, if they still want to use fake news as a term after the BuzzFeed debacle, said that our article was mostly false. First off, our article was an opinion article on the absurdity of passing out please don't rape pamphlets, okay?
Yeah.
So they label it mostly false. But we know better, Snopes. What they labeled false was that these pamphlets were not printed in 2015 for the Cologne, Germany rape attacks. They were printed for Islamic refugees in 2013. They just happened to be passed out in 2015 en masse because, well, there was a lot of rape. So, one for Snopes.
One for Snopes.
That's how they see this. We didn't say that these came hot off the press for the 2015 rape, mass rape in Cologne. We said, isn't it absurd that a civilized, a Western European country, for any reason, let alone having to print them by volume at Kinko's, has to pass out pamphlets telling people how to not rape their fellow human beings? That was the point of our article. Now, Snopes can say, Snopes labeled it fake news. Therefore, Facebook could label our story fake news. There's nothing about it that was fake. What's fake is Snopes fact-checking. And if you read the original article, it was just talking about how silly, how ridiculous it was. I can't believe we've gone this far. It wasn't breaking news. They just freshly printed no rape pamphlets in Germany. It was just, can you believe they have to pass this out because these people are getting raped in record numbers? And Snopes goes, hold on a second. Those were printed in 2013. It couldn't be less relevant. Just like a report with no corroboration on Donald Trump and Russian hookers pissing on the linoleum floor. And these are the
It was
people who've been
carpet.
trusting for fake news.
It was
You know, you want to know what's? I guarantee you, in that gay party on Mike Pence's backyard, you have producers for CNN.
Oh,
and
no
ABC
doubt.
and NBC. Matter of fact, I know for a
I've
fact.
seen them at hotels. Party animals.
I know for a fact a guy who works at ABC who would be at those parties because I've seen him at those parties before. I was watching on air one time.
Why were you at those parties?
Is that Jay? His name's not Jay. I remember sitting there going, is that Jay? Well, yeah, I guess that makes sense. I wasn't even surprised. These are the people. They have much more in common with those naked dancers and the Snopes folks who will tell you that, listen, let's get off the rape thing. These pamphlets, they raped, but the pamphlets weren't printed. The people in the media have much more in common with them, and they try to get together and congregate and say, hey, let's decide on what's fake news. And now it came back. It absolutely bit them in the ass, and they don't know what to do.
I think Snopes is more for like email forwards and like things your grandma posts on Facebook. Yeah. It's not for investigating real journalism.
No, it's a place where you post pictures of prairie dogs' testicles. Betty White was
Bless
baited
her
in.
heart.
That's a good saying.
Yeah, Betty White. Here's one thing. Since we're going to have some good news, and we'll get to Clint Howard. Betty White, I love this. Did you see this with Katie Couric?
First of all, the good news is she's alive. She's trans
alive.
all the time.
Yeah.
Great news.
And she's still alive every time.
There are no Betty Whites in third world countries.
So I'm waiting for Betty White to see Betty White's trending, think Betty White died, and subsequently die from a heart attack at the shock.
Well, that's what you call
Betty White
purgatory.
may have died. Yeah. It's just perpetual Betty White #death.
Well, no, that's not purgatory. At that point, you're talking about hell. So you're getting you're not even getting your religions properly.
Theology.
Just mixing some reincarnation in there, and you'll have offended an entire half the globe. Betty White was baited by Katie Couric. Katie Couric tried to bait her, which I'm amazed that Katie Couric will show her face after the Carly Fiorina, the absolute thrashing at the hands of Carly Fiorina with Katie Couric. That was an example of a bubbly, nice enough woman who could read prompter versus a razor-sharp woman who'd actually accomplished a multitude of goals in life. Katie Couric, Carly Fiorina. If you haven't seen it, go Google it. Oh my gosh, I use it to rock myself to sleep every night when my wife's not here. I play it and I get very comfortable with myself. Katie Couric tried to bait Betty White into trashing Donald Trump, and God bless Betty White. This is what went down.
It's hard for some people to be positive right now because there's so much negativity from the highest office in the land, or soon to be, to everybody and their brother putting things out on social media. It almost feels toxic, doesn't it?
It does. It really does. And so many people think negatively. It's like, oh, you know what I hate? Oh, I hate this. Instead of, all right, I'll get through this, but you know what I love? Then all of a sudden you start lifting up a little bit. But if you start with, you know what I hate, you're going to go right down the tubes.
Now, you know what's funny? If you don't realize what you're watching, Katie Couric basically just said, don't you hate this? And she said, no, bitch! I don't spend time hating on things. Here's something else. Just so you know, Betty White, if you watch this, cannot possibly be a modern leftist. She can't be a liberal. Now, she might not be a Trump fan. She might not be a card-carrying Republican. But it only would help Betty White's career at that point to say, oh, yeah, I can't believe the Trump thing. This is horrible. If a celebrity so much as sidesteps an opportunity to bash Trump, guaranteed 100% they are not a leftist, because we have a big tent. Conservatives, you can have a Vince Vaughn, who was a Ron Paul supporter, who's a libertarian. You can have a Gary Sinise, who's an old-fashioned Bob Hope, traditional conservative, big troop supporter. You can have a Penn Jillette, who's an atheist, libertarian, hardcore libertarian. You can have someone like Scott Baio, who's a Scott Baio. The point is that you can have all
or maybe
different,
even some Clint Howards.
Maybe even some Clint Howards who will be coming up after this break. The point is you can't pin down a conservative, but you can easily pin down a leftist in these interviews, and you can easily pin down when someone is not a leftist. Any person who was not conservative or who was not at least somewhat moderate, right-leaning, would have answered that question with, I know, isn't Trump horrible? You know why? Because then you get invited to the cool Hollywood parties. But Betty White don't care. And you know what? She left us with a lesson that I think was pretty important, to think positively. Maybe that's why she's still alive. That and lots of gin.
Lots of gin.
We'll be back with Clint Howard. I think he drinks gin. It's got to be something.
Oh.
What are you doing?
Oh, you're here.
Get out.
Hey, I was actually thinking.
Get out of my bed.
We should do some Dormillo like commercials, like sketches. Maybe like you and I could like maybe we can get some. Maybe like two like side by side, like Bert and Ernie. Maybe we could do it that way.
How about no mattresses and I throw you in the pool? Get out of my bed.
Maybe, well, just think about it.
Seriously.
I
Get out.
Socks.
Get out.
Just get back to me when you want. No. Please.
Hello, mattress, my old friend. I've come to lay with you again. Because a vision I was dreaming of you and I together sleeping, and the comfort.
Dormio mattresses. Sleepwithcrowder.com for specials and free shipping.
And a pillow.
Within the sound of silence.
Wake up, it's fine.
Reach the wizard.
It's fine.
All right, glad to be back. He's laughing at us, our guest, right away.
Gosh.
This is how it starts. Sorry, no, you don't get to call this off. This is the show. You've seen him in what is it, Jordan? 200 something?
He's got over 235 television and film
235
credits.
television and film credits. Clint Howard, thank you for being with us, sir.
That dance move with your shoulders.
It's a skill like anything else.
If it's repeatable, I'd save that and do that again, because that could be a chick magnet for you.
Well, you know what? Ironically, it's a dude magnet. For some reason, This is a mating call for the West Hollywood bar scene.
Oh, boy.
Yeah,
Well,
that and the yellow bandana.
You know, listen, to each his own, and whatever floats your boat.
No, the problem is they think, to me, their own, and they get handsy, and so it's an ongoing problem. But you know what? I think you're safe with the Pittsburgh Steelers thing. I don't think that's really big in the fabulous community.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Listen, I don't really focus on boy action when I'm talking about the Steelers.
Well, yes, exactly. So, Clint Howard. I mean, it's one of those things where you don't even know where to start. Jordan's just chomping at the bit. You have something you wanted to ask him? My brother here is producing in studio.
One of my favorite movies is Rock and Roll High School, and of course you played Eagle Bauer in that, and that was, I always think of that movie. I know that was a long time ago, but so many things.
Do you have something that people specifically usually relate to the most? Because it's such a body of work, they could pick anything.
Yeah, it's a variety of things. I mean, there are people, of course, that remember me from Star Trek. When I played Little Baylock in the Corbinite Maneuver, all those Star Trek geeks, they love that.
Well, I don't think they like being called Star Trek geeks, but yes.
Oh wait, hold on. I had an audition for George Lucas, and this was for Star Wars. And it was back in the day, they were seeing everybody. They weren't sure what I was right for or anything, but I was on the map, and Ron had worked for George in American Graffiti. So I had an audition, and I went into the room, and Francis Coppola was there in the room, and I'm like all nervous. George spins around in his chair, and the very first thing he says to me is, "Commander Baylock, Corbinite Maneuver."
Wow.
And that screwed everything up.
I was going to say, it's flattering, but you probably don't get the part because Star Trek, Star Wars, we can't do it.
Well, it also threw me off my game. I'm thinking to myself, George, get a life. And so, but no, I've talked to you. Listen, one thing about the Star Trek people.
Yeah.
Big income earners.
Really?
Because I would
have thought it stopped at big.
No. I'm talking about people that were willing to fly from England to Las Vegas and spend 5 days going to a Star Trek convention and have 3 costumes with them, and they have money.
Well, they may not necessarily have money. They could just be spending it all for you. They also could be felons. They could be stealing. You don't know. Those costumes are pretty expensive.
Well, yeah, but I didn't really get the vibe of strong arm robbery with these people.
Well, not strong arm robbery. It would be flaccid arm robbery, but the criminal offense is the same.
Flaccid is a good word.
Believe me, I've heard it all my life. So,
I just started hearing it not a little while ago, so it's brand new to me.
Then you are swinging above your batting average, sir, at your age. Count your lucky stars. So
Boy, I saw a clip of your show, and it was better than this.
yeah, well, I don't know what you saw. It depends on what you had been imbibing when you watched it. That's entirely the litmus test. So no, but people right now are tuning in. You're kind of, and I say this respectfully, I say this appreciatively. Right now, where people are tuning into this, watching it, they're going, "Is that Clint Howard?" You have that reaction from people. Have you noticed that? Where because you appear in so much. Do you ever worry? And we'll get to sort of the political stuff. I think people know that you're more to the right of center in a lot of ways. You're patriotic, but do you ever feel like maybe you almost run the risk when you do so much work as you do, that you almost are a character that transcends film because people are like, hey, that's Clint Howard. They've seen you so much.
Yeah, but if a person waited and was trying to pick and choose and really trying to carve out their own career,
yeah,
they're gonna miss.
Right.
I mean, first of all, the casting directors aren't even casting.
Right.
It's the man upstairs that's figuring it all out.
Right.
One way or another.
Yeah.
And I was raised by my dad, Rance Howard, 88 years old, going strong, still acting, that, you know what, if you don't take the job, somebody else will.
Right.
So it's better to work than not work, and also work begets work.
That's true.
So if there's baggage that comes with being known, oh well.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm Ron's brother, and the majority of people, that's going to be the go-to kind of reaction. And
see, I don't think of it that way. That's the thing. We, like my brother and I we think like, oh gosh, we're going through the list. Yeah, he wasn't that. Yeah, he wasn't that. I don't know. Ron's brother, maybe just from arrogant leftists who want to.
Well,
give you
yeah. Listen, first of all, Ron's a really good guy, and
yeah.
he sits on the wrong side of the table, and he's an idiot. But he's a good guy, and I love being his brother.
Yeah.
In fact, he's a better older brother than he is a movie director, and he's an outstanding movie director.
He is a very fantastic, well, I didn't want to make this about Ron, but he is a fantastic film director in the sense that Ron bridges that gap where he can do big budget films and it still has a sense of humanity to it. You know, Ron, Cinderella Man, for example, is one of my favorites ever. And that's an example where you can take a big budget film, big name stars, and it can be every bit as good as these pretentious indie films, which sometimes suck. You know, you can have great indie films, but he is the master at that, I would say.
He really loves telling stories.
Yeah.
And he loves, Frank Capra was not an idol, but he really respected Frank and his work, and Ron just appreciates kind of showing humanity,
right,
and showing man's better nature, or the classic, climb the mountain against all odds.
Yeah.
In Cinderella Man, Renee Zellweger's role.
Yeah.
I mean, the movie was about Jim Braddock, of course.
Sure.
But Ron really was focusing on the strong woman in that, movie. And listen, movie making is hard.
Right.
And there's a lot of luck involved. It's almost like the movie gods have to come down and kiss something for it to really take off.
Right.
But I am so proud of him because, listen, I was working for him when I was 10 years old. He was cajoling me into being in his little short films.
Really?
So, oh, yeah. No, actually, a film that he won second place in a national contest. It was a Kodak student film contest.
Mm.
He won $100. But before we started filming, I said, listen, I want a 50-50 split. I want 50 points of the first dollar. So when Ron got the news and got the check, $100, I was up the stairs at his door saying, "Where's mine?" And Ron got really upset, and it was a thing where Dad had to settle the dispute. And sure enough, he promised, he made a deal, 50-50.
Wow.
And I I got the money.
Well, you know what? Jordan, actually, his first film festival, he won at the Kodiak Short Film Festival, but his prize was getting mauled by a Canadian bear. And it was disappointing for everybody involved. And also, it was a violation of the Endangered Species
Was
Act.
it disappointing for him?
Well, no, it was disappointing for the bear because Jordan didn't put up much of a fight. Yeah, and then the Endangered Species Act, they get into play, as we know, and it's just one big thing.
Was he sued?
Jordan sued the bear, which is why he was so disappointed.
Yeah.
I see.
He felt that he had acted in good faith with, mano y mano, and then Jordan hired a lawyer with a lot of vowels in his last name, and the bear was all but upset. Let's continue.
Wait, hold on. Was there a sex tape that was produced after the fact, or
yes, and they adapted that into The Revenant, but that scene got cut. So you said your brother loves to tell stories about humanity, sort of the better nature. What is it that it made you want to get into performing? Made you want to get into acting? What is it that inspires you in that sense? Because everyone has something.
Well, I've been in the business for 55 years. I'm 57 years old. I've been a professional actor for 55 years. So I can't tell you when I got started, as far as what I was thinking.
Right.
I wasn't really paying attention until I was about 7.
Yeah.
I like giving the audience a little twist, or at least pulling the audience's leg a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I personally get a kick out of going that extra little bit to not necessarily surprise the audience, but just give them something they're not expecting.
Yeah.
And I always, Dad has mentioned this, and as an actor, even a little junior actor, I always had the confidence, and I always had sort of not the enthusiasm, but, when they said do it, by God, I did it. When they said kick the guy, I kicked him.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid to get out there. And I think I've managed to turn that into where I end up with some pretty funky roles.
Yeah, you keep people guessing.
Yeah, well, listen, the only thing I don't like guessing on is when they're going to send me the check.
Yes, well, then stay away from your brother, apparently, based on his track record.
No, he pays pretty well.
Yeah.
He used to. But, the fact is show business is not my life. It's my job.
Yeah.
Now, I'm good at it, and I love being an actor, and I've done some writing, and I've done some producing. But, life is my life.
Well, and I want to get into that because you've I don't want to sort of out you in any way, but I think people know that you're more to the right of center.
I'm conservative, yeah.
Yeah, you're conservative, good. And your brother's not at all. He's been very vocally pretty liberal. I know you said you disagree with him. Do you guys have those discussions a lot, or is it just sort of off the table and you don't talk about it when you have your family get-togethers?
Oh, no. Ron, first of all, Ron and I are really close.
Yeah.
And just the other day, we got into a big one.
Uh-oh.
He was doing the big brother thing where he was kind of whispering, and he was really concerned that Trump was going to push the button or something.
Yeah.
And I'm going, who are you listening to? And of course he's going to believe that because he's listening to all of his buddies.
Yeah.
And but it was just the way he got so serious. And we went at it pretty good. And because we have some specific issues, conservative, liberal, conservative, progressive, that we disagree on. And we always end our conversations with, hey, I love you.
Right.
It could be heated. It could get nasty. And it has a couple of times.
So what would you say are your big delineating issues? Would it be fiscal? Would it be social? What would you say is where that divide is more clear with you and Ron?
Well, size of government and the responsibility of government in society. And, Ron's one of those guys. I think he's a closet socialist. And what he wants is the government to run things correctly.
Yeah.
And just the thing is they want their people installed to run it.
Right.
And that's a disaster. As socialism in any form is going to end up being at the end of a barrel of a gun.
Well, I notice he's not doing all of his movies with the National Film Board of Canada, right? So he likes having his own freedom when it comes to making his films. I'm sure you've taken part in some of those. They are generally awful when government makes movies.
Actually, I haven't done a lot of government propaganda films.
No, not government propaganda, but almost there's funding for films. It's a wing of government in Canada, National Film Board of Canada. And when they get involved, it usually sucks.
Well, most films usually suck. Let's be honest.
That's true. It really does make you appreciate it. It makes you appreciate good films when you see ones that are so bad. You're like, oh gosh. We were just watching Don't Breathe. Did you see that film, the scary film where they go to rob a blind man and then?
Are you asking me if I saw that movie?
Yeah. Did you see that movie?
No.
No, but it was really good. There aren't a lot of great thrillers anymore. It seems like that's a genre that doesn't get a ton of attention. And we watched it. We were like, oh, this is really good. It was tense. And then you go and you watch 5 that they're trying to build up tension and it just doesn't happen. You go, it makes me really appreciate that film Don't Breathe. So maybe that's the magic of filmmaking. It makes you appreciate when things don't suck.
Well, I always hear being in the business has spoiled it for me.
Yeah.
Because I can't look at a movie the way most people can. I look and see what time of day they were shooting the shot. Or
right.
I can tell normally when a guy's first day of work was on a movie. Or I can see when, oh, this looks like the end of the production. Look, he looks all beat up. And look, his makeup on his collar. And,
yeah.
So I can't, it's hard for me to follow a movie in a narrative sense and really get pulled in by the story.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. That was, I find that, Jordan, are you that way? Because my brother went to film school.
You know what? I'm kind of the opposite of that way where I'm kind of dumb with movies. I just kind of follow where it leads me sometimes. And I could actually sit and enjoy it a little more than a lot of my friends who are pointing out everything that's
I'm that
wrong.
way with stand-up. That's why I can't do, stand-up to me became like, it was like, oh, it's like I'm at work if I watch a stand-up set because I'm going, oh, that was a good tag, or, oh, he could have cut this. And sometimes it takes away the joy.
So you literally are doing sort of an autopsy of somebody's stand-up routine if you're there watching.
Yeah, and that's actually a big reason why I just don't like doing it anymore. I stopped enjoying it, period, because it was no longer flowing and natural, and it just kind of became like, when you study something too much, you get too close to it, you kind of lose the beauty of the big picture.
That was me in music.
Yeah.
I did stand-up one time, and I did it in Las Vegas at the Mint.
Oh.
And it was actually really cool. They were doing a comedy show. It was before they tore the Mint down, obviously. I mean, that would be kind of weird if I was doing a show at the Mint and they had torn it down.
Not for Clint Howard.
But I'll tell you, I did my jokes, and I was getting a few laughs, and I survived the first guy getting up and leaving.
Yeah.
And then I started, I cursed. I dropped a couple of F-bombs, and I got laughs. And I ended up kind of finishing my little 7-minute set or whatever it was by cursing.
Yeah.
And I felt so bad because it's like my biggest laughs were F-bombs.
Right.
And also, too, I wrote those jokes, and some of them were kind of funny and some of them weren't. But it's like people were going to want to hear the funny ones again.
Right.
And as an actor in film and television, when I do something well, I like to move on.
Yeah.
I'm not a repeater.
Yeah.
The idea of doing comedy just didn't, I just assume leave it to the professionals.
Yeah, it is. It can definitely get repetitive, and you are creating. It really is one of the most pure forms, I would say, of performance art. But yeah, it definitely is. That's why a lot of comedians end up becoming really depressed, I think. That, and I also think there's just some brain chemistry. It takes a special kind of person to want to go on there by themselves without a net and sort of fillet their brain open, and it really is exposing. But
oh man, I've never been so nervous in my life.
Yeah, it is tough. Well, Not Gay Jared has opened up now for me a couple, but you didn't really care because people were there to see me, and you just kind of like, if I bomb, I bomb.
I bomb. If I die, I die.
and you did bomb. So outside of the jokes I wrote for him, he went up.
Threw up on himself.
Yeah, exactly. It is remarkable. So okay, let me ask you this: have you found some satisfaction? I know you're a nice guy, and obviously you love your brother and you get along. But have you found some satisfaction in watching that entire city just lose its collective mind over Donald Trump?
Oh, no, not at all.
Well, we had Dennis Miller on, and he was like, no, I guess I don't have that chip. I was like, really? You're making me feel bad because I'm just loving watching this because we know they're not going to get hurt. They're not getting killed. They just don't like that they lost. And man, is it funny how they're misbehaving.
Oh, no. When I woke up on November 9th, it was, I had a smile on my face, and I couldn't get rid of it all day. And a friend of mine, I think and I'm not going to drop his name because it's already been done too much. We were talking on the phone, and he was working on a show, and he called it, well, I guess I'm in that basket of deplorables that
yeah.
And he said that his set that he was working that day was absolutely vacuum silent.
Yeah.
Because they had all been so cocksure that their little Hillary Clinton was going to be the president. They weren't even thinking. And, I felt exactly the opposite. I knew those polls were not right.
Yeah.
I knew that it was going to be awfully close. As it turned out, it was very close.
Right.
And I am I am so happy. And there is nothing wrong with watching them squirm on the end of a line.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it makes me feel better about myself. Certainly makes us feel better about ourselves because we pretty much scan through the news to find those stories and laugh at them.
Oh no, I love the fact, and they're still awkwardly reacting. There's still people that are saying that Donald Trump is not, the president, or it's just mind-boggling to me. And people in show business, it's like one thing about that. They ought to know better.
Right. Well, how so? They're generally very stupid.
Well, they've been in business. A lot of them have made money and have been around a lot of people that have done really well for themselves in the free market.
Yeah. I think you're right, but I think you're right. However, I do think that a lot of actors, for example, who just they hit it big. Right? A lot of these big stars, they hit it and they make a lot of money. But a lot of them have never employed someone or run a budget. You know what I mean? As far as running a business.
Never cut a check for somebody else.
So I think a lot of these people, they skip because pretty much everyone else in America, to get to that point where you're making that kind of money, generally you have an employee, you have two, you have three, you grow. There's that expanding period, and they've kind of hopscotched that to the big check. And I don't think they are aware of what it takes for everyone else in America to make that kind of money.
I don't know where did they go to school? Did they did they learn anything? See, I think that's the problem. Is for about 30 years, the left has completely monopolized the educational system.
Yeah.
And in higher education now, it's 90% liberal,
professors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they have now raised and put into the world little lefties that are now teaching our children.
It sounds like a comic strip in the back of the newspaper. A little lefty. Oh, he had an abortion. What is this?
Yeah, no, Molly, the green dinosaur is crying tears, rivers of tears, because the earth is getting overrun by the thing. And,
Yeah.
And I think conservatives, if there's anything we can be faulted for, is, 20 years ago, when it was sort of happening, because I'm 57.
Right.
I was beginning to see it in high school.
Yeah.
And I was beginning to see, wait, that's propaganda. That's an agenda. That's, so
Right.
they've had a head start at education, which is indoctrination.
Right.
And I feel like it's almost checkmate, because there's just so many people that believe the progressive line.
Well, I will tell you this, if it gives you any hope, I think that's changing, if only because a lot of young people, they always have this tendency to want to rebel. And I've seen a lot of young people the establishment is no longer their parents telling them, eat your vegetables, don't do drugs. The establishment is all of their professors, every film they watch, every TV show they watch, telling them to think a certain way. And that's why more of them split in this election than before. I think they're not buying it. So I understand what you're saying, but I don't think it's checkmate. I think there still needs to be some more convincing, because it was close, but I do think a lot of these young people can be convinced.
Well, I tell you what, convincing is going to be, the proof is in the pudding.
Right.
And Mr. Trump, in a couple of days, I'm going to get to call him President Trump. He's going to have an opportunity to guide the ship for a while.
Right.
And it's hard. It's like one time I heard Newt Gingrich say this, that turning around America is going to be like moving a huge super tanker. It
Right.
takes a long time to turn one of those babies around.
Yeah.
And just Donald Trump he might just be the right person at the right time, because he's got pretty thick skin. And he knows how to play the game. The idea that he has sort of taken the press out of play a little bit with his use of Twitter is, to me, fascinating.
Yeah. He's also taken the entertainment industry out of the political play. They can still make movies and TV shows, but they don't have the influence they once did, because he can go straight. It's like all these celebrities come together, make a video, and Trump just says, that's trash. It's total crap. And everyone's like, oh, okay, all right, I believe him. And they're furious. They're in their death throes. But I hate to cut you off. So Clint Howard, you don't really have anything to plug because you're Clint Howard. We have to have you back, though.
Well, you know what? Seriously, I would love to come back and contribute, because I believe in America, and I think that the sort of, being conservative does not mean we're stuck in the mud.
Right.
And, the narrative of a liberal is a much easier narrative to sell.
Sure.
And I just want to try to sell the conservative narrative. And we're not hillbillies with we're stuck with ideas.
Right.
I want the country to move forward.
Right.
I just want us to do it in a very sane, sensible manner.
Absolutely. Clint Howard, we will have him back louder with Crowder daily now. We get to have these conversations with all different kinds of people. Stay tuned, and we'll be back with more. Clint, thank you very much, sir.
Oh, no problem. Have a good one.
Hey, glad to be with you. How often do you hear me do live reads? Well, about once a week now.
It's become more of a routine, I guess you could say.
Thanks to Clint Howard. Hey, thank you so much to everyone who has joined the Mug Club and CRTV. We can't thank you enough. louderwithcrowder.com/Mug Club, or you can join at CRTV, but you want to join with Mug Club if you want this cool hand. Do you guys know this mug is hand-etched?
It is hand-etched.
It's hand-etched and hand-painted.
Nice.
That's a high-quality item
By
there.
small Somali children. No. Americans. America. That's where Daily Crowder is. You're watching the free show right now. Thursday on YouTube or Facebook, but the show is daily. If you're a student, veteran, or military, it's $69 per year. That ends up being about $585 per month. You get Daily Crowder, and you get a show with Not Gay Jared and Courtney, who'll be coming up after the break.
I think I'm going to join tonight then.
What was that?
I think I'm going to join the Mug Club.
You think you're going to join the Mug Club?
Yeah.
You haven't yet?
No, I haven't.
You're a horrible sibling.
I was holding out to see how it turned out.
This is an ad. You're not supposed to be talking right now. Our sponsors don't. Well, the sponsor is me. louderwithcrowder.com/Mug Club. And not only does it allow us to create daily content, to create more clips and give away more free content, but you keep people employed. There's an actual staff of people here at Louder with Crowder. There's Courtney, there's Jared, there's Casey, there's Brodigan, there's Francine, there's Scott, there's Jordan, there's Edward, there's Corey, there's Lacey. There's more to come. Some people are permanent, some people are temporary hires, but if only a small percentage of you watching out there want Daily Crowder, you just still get all your free stuff, so don't worry about it. But if you join the Mug Club, you get daily content, as well as Mark Levin, Michelle Malkin, Mark Stein. They just announced Steve Deese, I think, and a few more other names to come. So the more that you join, the more we can take the fight to the left. And gosh, we're doing pretty well with it for a bunch of rubes who used to have a show in a den. So louderwithcrowder.com/Mug Club. We appreciate the support. And if you can't afford it, that's okay. You can be a freeloader. That's enough. Go lay down. Get the long shot going of the dog. See, he listens. There you go. He listens to me. There you go. See, that Hopper's getting mad. He's getting upset because he thinks we're fighting. We're just dancing. He doesn't understand passion. He confuses it with violence.
Well, he saw you make the pew-pew sign with your hands, and he
saw
thought
the
that was a
pew-pew
gun.
sign. Are you just speaking like you're sick and
No,
nasally, or am I not
I'm
hearing
talking.
you? All right. Well, listen, we have our next guest coming on, so people know when they hear this, the sound that I'm doing the Hulk Hogan here, waiting for it. All right. I guess maybe we're not going to have our theme music coming on. Oh, there we go. There we go. That's not royalty free.
That's not at all.
We should probably just tune that out really quickly. Courtney Kirchhoff at Courtney Scoffs. Thank you, Courtney, for being with us. How are you?
Thanks for having me.
Look at this. Look at her. She's in the black. She's with the necklace going on. She's very fetching.
I tried to be more like Darth Vader tonight.
We had a guest who had some very kind words for you. I can't tell you who. Yeah, but off camera, to the point borderline creepy.
Oh, that's about right.
Let's just start this off and make her as uncomfortable as possible.
Sounds about right.
Hey, listen, some people are complaining, saying that this is not live. It is live, Tyler. And, Luke Van Lonen. He said, call Trump president in a couple days. This segment is pre-taped, isn't it? Well, we just proved that it wasn't, didn't we, Courtney?
Yeah, this is real, happening right now.
It is. I'm not going to lie. Clint Howard was pre-taped because he was on Los Angeles time. We can't get out of that one because someone else said there was a clock behind him. Yeah.
Damn clocks.
Well, the clock is very slimming, so it's not a bad idea to put it behind you. Hey, Courtney, are you going to be taking part in the women's marches?
I am not. They don't want me there.
Why?
Because they don't think it's okay to kill babies.
Oh.
Right.
So.
Even though traditionally the March for Life is in January at about this time, so I'm pretty sure this is appropriation. It's March appropriation.
It's March appropriation.
Sure.
And it's life appropriation because they take something that celebrates life and make me want to kill myself.
Yeah, there was a trend on Twitter about renaming the Women's March.
Yeah.
I put mine in there as the DC migration of land-dwelling butter whales, because that's pretty much what it is.
I think you just fit as many insults as you could in there, but I don't know that it's necessarily cohesive. I don't think a butter whale is... what's a butter whale?
I don't know.
It's a feminist.
I would
Go
just-
with it. Now, it is a slight insult to butter, which I love. Some of them
It's
that's
true.
fair, but
It's also a slight insult to whales.
Yeah.
Which seems unnecessary. I picture a butter whale. I picture just a
they
whale
don't
breathing
know that
in
insults
and going...
whales.
And then you're dropping a stick of butter in its blowhole, and then you got peed on you. That's. Did no one else literally picture that as the very first thing?
Sometimes I
That was the
wish
second.
I could snort butter.
You have snorted butter. What do you mean wish? Why are you playing? Look, he's playing all coy right now, like he hasn't snorted
I
butter.
want to hear more about childhood Crowder stories, if this is what you guys were up to. It would make a lot of sense. I mean,
It wouldn't.
explains a lot if you guys snorted butter.
No, it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. So, Courtney, have you been following the Women's March that's going to be occurring? Because this seems right up your alley of things to hate and seethe about.
So I looked up their web.
Right, I was just like, no. He's like, well, in fact.
But I did find the URL.
I would love to just kind of watch them. Look, it's pretty predictable. It's a bunch of feminist, liberal women who are unhappy with themselves, and they're going to complain about issues that aren't actually issues. So they think that, they believe everything that they've heard on CNN or MSNBC from Rachel Maddow about Trump, that he's somehow this horribly sexist, racist Hitler figure,
Yeah.
and they're going to lose all of their rights.
Right.
No.
Well, save for the butter whales. That remains to be seen.
Well, look, I've said about feminism many times. I think feminists are just using sexism as an excuse for their failures in life.
Mm-hmm.
So most women are able to succeed without feminism and saying all the time, like, oh, it's sexism, that's why I can't get ahead. No, you can't get ahead because you're a horrible person. You're a terrible employee. You make people miserable at your workplace.
Yeah.
All of these things. That's why you fail. It's not because there's this patriarchy that's after you. But the women doing this march, they think that Trump pretty much embodies the patriarchy.
Well, he kind of does do that. There's a tweet right now. Someone says, does Courtney Scoffs have a cardboard stand-up of Jesse Waters? No.
No, it's Henry Cavill.
Yeah, it's Henry.
It was a birthday present from Steven.
It's true.
I'm not kidding.
No,
Yeah.
it was a birthday present. It was Henry Cavill. Although that life-size cutout is it's bigger than actual size. So you'd be disappointed if you met him.
Bigger than life.
Bigger than
Some
life.
may say.
Also bigger than Henry Cavill. It doesn't need to be bigger than life.
That's true.
Actually, though, you know what? In his defense, he's slightly larger than a box of Life cereal. He's got that going for him.
The 16
A few chemical enhancements and some green screen, he becomes Superman. Okay, so Courtney has no idea. This has gone completely off. Butter Slug is more fitting, says Ice Princess. Butter
Okay,
Slug.
well, how about you become a writer and then you can make up names for the feminists?
I think that's...
I'm taking suggestions. I'm actually looking for feminist name suggestions.
How about
After a while,
bitch? I said, how about bitch?
Yeah, then I have to go all,
You have to
cuss young
apologize.
people.
It's true.
Yeah, like, oh, I'm sorry, trigger warning. I know that's insulting female dogs.
It's not the way of the Courtney's goals.
It's true, and Courtney has quite a few female dogs. Courtney, do you ever plan on actually going down and just like mingling with them just to learn their ways, sort of like Gorillas in the Mist?
I know their ways. I've actually been to a few March for Lives myself. So
No,
whenever
not
we-
March for Lives. I'm talking about the March for
I know,
for
but
Misery.
These feminists are always there to protest people who don't want to kill babies.
Right.
And they're the stereotype. They're smelly and gross, and you wonder, why do you actually need an abortion? Who's sleeping with you?
It's true.
That's the same type. I could go, I wouldn't learn anything. I would need to take several showers afterwards.
You could learn.
I'm interested in saving the planet and conserving water.
Courtney, we talk about on this show, you can learn from anybody, including the butter whales.
This is true.
What would I learn? What would I learn that I don't know now from angry feminist ham beasts?
Well, okay, that's a very good question.
Yeah.
Because you don't fully understand them. So, for example, let's say I'm trying to just figuratively. Let's say someone like a Lena Dunham is there. Okay.
Right. Okay.
You would learn how to live. You would learn first off how to be a child defending sex molester. but to get away with it by writing about it in your autobiography, scot-free.
Except, see, I'm past that. I'm no longer a child. I'm in my 30s
No,
now.
you'd be molesting the child. That's what Lena Dunham did. So you're never too old for child molestation when you're Lena Dunham.
Okay.
Well, unless
All
you're
right.
She's never too old to lose the magic.
Oh, and I could claim that I'm actually younger than I am because I could be trans age.
That's true. You could be trans
I
age.
could feel like I'm
Like
16
Steph on knee. Steph on knee is still my favorite transgender name.
Steph on knee.
Okay, hold on. We have a couple of tweets coming in here. Someone said something about if it was Jesse Waters. Hold on a second. I can't read your.
Get past the cardboard cutout. Come on, people.
I can't read Tyler Stroud's tweet because it's far too profane. I need to see here what Frumposaurus Rex is a suggestion for feminists. A little
I
too
like
much.
it.
It's too much to me.
It's too wordy.
Too wordy.
Too many syllables.
Too wordy.
But when you're reading it, that's okay. You wouldn't use it on your show, but I can use it in a post.
Well, let's put that in the semifinals right next to the bracket with insufferable bitches.
It's so on the nose.
That's the whole point. Hold on, it's going to trigger around us being mean to butter whales. Whaling is illegal. All right. Well, people are getting. Wait, hold on a second. Someone photoshopped my face on Clint Howard's body. And Clint Howard's face on my body. Courtney, this is all happening. So I'm just proving to people.
Is that an improvement? 'Cause I
Retweet
wanna
this so
see.
I can pull it up.
Did that improve things? Is that
Well-
kind of like peanut butter and chocolate together? It makes it better.
That's horrible.
Let's see.
I don't understand the peanut butter and chocolate. I don't understand that fixation at all. Oh, Angelina Ball decided to split the difference. She says a butter bitch. Edward the Sound Guy doesn't mind that one.
Oh, no.
No?
Butter bitch.
Butter bitch.
It's alliteration, so I kind of like that. It tickles my English major fancy.
Lou's brown mustache says engorged neon harpies. That's actually pretty funny. Come on, you have to write that one down and hyperlink to Lou's
Yes.
brown stash. That's one to use.
I just retweeted it.
There are some things about Twitter. It's like, God, Twitter is such a sewer. But then when you guys send these things, I don't know. It redeems Twitter a little bit.
Engorged neon harpies, Lou's brown mustache. If you are not a Mug Club member, send us another tweet. We will make sure that you are a Mug Club member. There you go. There's Courtney with her mug. Look at her.
That's not Courtney.
Fit-
That's
That's the Clint Howard. Can Courtney see it? Can Courtney see that?
What? I can't see it.
I can send her out. Here it comes.
Do I
Here it
have to
comes.
show my cup again? Mug, get it.
No, there's a Clint Howard in me.
You see that?
Oh, God.
Well, you know what?
I like how his skin matches yours, but yours doesn't his.
I don't think there's anybody whose skin tone matches Clint Howard. I think that's the impossible task. It's sort of like the riddle to which there is no answer.
Never comes.
One door leads to certain death, one leads to freedom, and no one matches Clint Howard's skin tone. That's
Funny
the
enough, that
riddle.
was the script for the Page Master 2. Never made it to the screen.
Never got made.
No.
That's because Macaulay Culkin was on heroin.
That's true.
All right, Courtney, what's coming up on Louder with Crowder? What are we writing about here this week?
Oh, I'm assuming tomorrow there's going to be a lot of liberal meltdowns.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm really excited about that.
Okay.
So it's a wonderful time to be alive and
gift
in
that
this
keeps on
business.
giving.
I mean, we got job security for the next 4 years at least.
This
These
is true.
people Are just coming undone.
Yeah, they really are.
It's so delicious.
It makes our job very easy. And you and Jared, not gay Jared, are going to have a show coming up in the
Right.
future on the Fridays.
It's true.
Hopefully Jared gets his act together.
True story.
And
We're
count on that.
sharing notes.
How many days now? Is it 51? Stay on the
51.
12-step program, Jared. And Courtney, we have to go because we have to wrap the show up in a nice bow. Where can people find you?
They can find me on Twitter at Courtney Scoffs. Why do always people put the at in front? I know it's like a habit now, but everyone has the at symbol in front. We don't need to say at Courtney Scoffs, just Courtney Scoffs at work.
I disagree because otherwise I might try and follow you on Snapchat and then it's just a bunch of pictures of penises. Courtney Scoffs, thank you very much for being on the program. We will go and we will come back and wrap the show up in a very nice ribbon for you. Is that going to be our bump? Or do we have to go into a bump from that?
We should probably go to nix it.
Nix the Darth Vader.
Nix it.
It's not very
That's
nice.
just for me.
No, go away.
Hang up on Courtney.
Just
Send
can
her
it.
out to the
Can
butter
it.
whales.
She's
Hang on.
gone.
Send her out to the...
She's gone.
She needs to be exiled with the
We
butter
lost her.
whales right now.
This is ridiculous.
All right, let's hit a bump. We'll wrap this show up in a very nice little ribbon for you. Nice big ribbon if you're a feminist. Wide, girthy. You're listening to Spotify. As a thanks to you for being a loyal listener, enjoy this free playlist with the top musical performances from the Donald Trump inauguration, including artists like Toby Keith, Lee Greenwood, Three Doors Down, the second place winner of the 2010 season of America's Got Talent, Hootie minus the Blowfish, Raffi, B Street, the Bruce Springsteen cover band, the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, the male singer from Aqua.
Come on, Barbie, let's go party. Come on, Barbie, let's go party.
Creed. All living members of Lynyrd Skynyrd.
Sweet home Alabama.
And Fred Durst.
You were so sweet, couldn't go without seeing your face for an hour.
Now enjoy 30 minutes of commercial-free music.
No, I need the Patent Memory Home Springs! Ah!
In restless sleep I toss alone on this old mattress made of stone. Would prefer to sleep on Dormio. Nothing really rhymes with Dormio, but it's the best sleep that I've ever had. So scoot your tad, make room for me on the Dormio.
Dormio mattresses. Sleepwithcrowder.com for specials and free shipping.
And a pillow!
Almost lost my headphones for a second there.
Almost lost
The
my
theme song. Was that the same
my
theme song we
mind.
played in with Anne? Did you replay the same song? Gotta get on your bump game, man.
Gotta get on my bump game.
Next week, we have coming up, who do we have? We have Artie Lang, we have Cassie J, we have Dave Rubin. I don't know, we have a bunch of people coming up next week. I'm always impressed with the guests who we keep having, and they're only gonna get better.
Only get better.
Unless they get worse. Which can happen
Distinct possibility.
after they've seen Not Gay Jared at Mike Pence's house.
Yeah,
I don't know what's
possible.
Or Crazy Pete's abortion,
see it.
Planned Parenthood abortion emporium.
that could go
We're
south.
going to get letters.
On a lot of
I'll be on a
lot of ways.
conference call with people at CRTV tomorrow. I have no doubt. We were going to have a great week next week. Listen, if there's one thing to take away this week, we're going into the inauguration tomorrow. So I know that for some of you, when you watch this or hear this, things have changed. But I'm willing to predict that things are going to get pretty ugly, both before and after. We may have something scheduled that deal with the protests at the inauguration. Who knows?
Maybe.
We may have to go in disguise now because people recognize us.
People?
Sometimes these things happen.
They're onto our schemes.
So, but I will say, consistency is so important here because what's made our lives so easy tonight is just showcasing the left, Barack Obama 8 years ago and today, showcasing their values 4 years ago and today. It was all about civility and unity, and we need to get together to protect, to support the president. Come on. And now he's not my president. Now he's an illegitimate president. It was all about peace, no violence, and now let's put noxious gases in the air vents for Donald Trump's inauguration. It was, hey, listen, we're the non-confrontational people. Now it's about
Wieners
violence.
in the public.
It's Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
It used to be, hey, there's gridlock in Washington, D.C. We need to work together. Now we're going to hammer any cabinet appointment to Donald Trump, and we're going to make sure that they have their name dragged through the mud and they can't have a possible career. So I know it's tempting. For me, it was creepy when they pledged allegiance to a president back then. It's creepy now. And I know that it's easy to get giddy and get so excited with how horribly the left has behaved, but you do need to keep your eye on the prize. And we need that that trail of breadcrumbs to get us back. It is those principles, it is those values, and if Donald Trump gets away from that, we've got to call him on it. Because you know what? They can be running a tape on you and on me regarding consistency in 4 or 8 years. And we don't need to look like them. And all that takes is being a little bit consistent. And all that requires is understanding why you believe what it is that you believe. And that means informing yourself. So, let's be consistent and have a good time doing it and watch the left lose their minds. See you next week.